Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It is Saturday, November 21st, 2020. I haven't made a video in a really long time and I wanted to pop back on and say hello and I hope you're doing well. And I wanted to get into what's going on with my life, the future of this channel, and just kind of where things are at for me. Um, if you've noticed, I go quite a long time in between making videos. And I think for me, it's because when I'm going through stuff and I'm in a transition period or things are changing, I don't really want to speak before I've kind of given things their full look over and have gotten to a good place with stuff. And I'm going to be honest, I'm always changing, I'm always growing, I'm always going through stuff. That's just life. And I'm starting to feel like I have something to contribute to this conversation again, and I would like to start putting it back out there. Um, that being said, I did delete all of, or not delete, but remove all of my old videos. At the time of making them, I was very sick. I was not in the best place mentally. I was going through a lot and I was very sick. I don't regret anything about those videos. I think they share the truth of what going through a chronic illness is like, especially my personal specific experience with Lyme disease and chronic health problems. But there are things that have changed for me in my worldview and perspective when it comes to health and healing and family, even. Through this journey, I've found my faith again. It's become a cornerstone of my recovery and healing. And I just don't feel like any of those videos were created with my 2020 worldview in mind, which, that's hindsight, but I don't want to keep them up. I have some big reservations about the internet now that I did not previously have. And so I don't want my children online in the capacity of which I may have previously shared. And I just want to make sure that if I'm putting things out there, that I'm doing it in a way that protects my family and keeps us safe. So I took those videos down. I would love to find the time and have the time to go through and curate and edit them so that they're still helpful to people because I'm sure there is stuff in there that is valuable. I know if I ever go back and watch an old video of mine, I find things that are valuable. So if nothing else, they're a valuable tool for me because sometimes I forget certain places where I was at in my journey. This has been a very, very long journey. And um, sometimes you just forget parts of it, especially when you were really sick. For me, I had a lot of issues with working memory when I was sick. And so there are a couple years from my personal history that I have a very hard time piecing together. A lot of times I've found that when I speak about the timeline of events, um, it's a little skewed from what actually happened because I don't remember. Thankfully, my working memory is much better now and I'm much healthier. I'm still dealing with health problems, and I have been since I've been in remission, but it has been so much better that I can't not call it a remission. It's a recovery. It's healing because I finally have 2 feet back on the ground again, and that's huge for me. And I think I thought that I had 2 feet back on the ground in 2018 when I first started to feel better, but the reality is that I didn't know how much farther I had to go, and I'm there now, and I understand that really even now in 2020, I'm actually only in the infancy of my healing. And I would like to share more with people about what's going on in my personal life these days because as I got better from Lyme and my symptoms started to improve across the board, I started to be presented with the fact that a lot of these things that I was struggling with for Lyme and a lot of these areas where my life was very negatively affected, they all kind of connect to each other, number one. But number two, as I started to feel better and come back out into the world, which I was very isolated away from while I was sick, I started to see that it wasn't unique to my Lyme experience and that a lot of people around me were struggling in these same areas in their life for what I could see with my fresh eyes as affecting everyone. And I think that some of it's coming culturally, being put onto us, and I think a lot of it is coming from the world, and I think it doesn't serve anyone to not talk about it, and so that's kind of the direction I would like to go in the future with this channel, and I have changed a lot of things about what I'm doing because of what happened to everyone and what's going on in the world in 2020. So I want to discuss how this crisis affected my life and how the knowledge I gained during my chronic illness has helped me to manage and think through and mitigate this all in a way that doesn't compromise my beliefs or my convictions, and in a way that I personally feel would be helpful to others, even if they're not struggling with chronic illness. Most of the principles of which I use to get better, I feel like if you apply them to your life and your mindset, you will see improvements almost immediately. And if you keep with it, eventually those improvements start to spiral into something that is amazing and wonderful for you. It requires you to do a lot of heavy lifting with your mind and your thoughts and your feelings and your heart and your soul. And really, that gives you what you need to push the energy ball forward with your physical health. I'm still dealing with pain. Pain has been a consistent thing throughout my journey. My pain is different. My pain has changed, and I have rooted it down to about as far as I can get it. And I'm ready to go back after it. And so I want to start sharing that with people. And it's something I really feel is important and crucial and key to healing from chronic illness is that I think there's a push to make everyone feel like they're crazy and it's all in their head. I strongly disagree with that because that was done to me and it was not all in my head. It wasn't. But I do have a caveat to that in that it does, it's not all in your head, but it does start in your mind. And if you can make changes there, even when your physical being is so incredibly broken, I truly believe if you can make some strides in your mindset and your thinking and how you're operating about your chronic illness or your issue or whatever it is that you're dealing with, if you can do those things, you can give yourself enough ground to stand on. For me, it happened very slowly and over time. And I did also find my faith throughout that time, which is something that I know now was very lacking in my life. And it has given me the strength to go on and face these tough things. And so I really want to talk about that with people. I want to help people to think through what they're going through instead of just rush around and try to cram in solutions without really considering themselves and their individual pieces to their individual puzzle, because that's really the only way any of us can make any headway with what's going on with us. There's a lot of forces out there at play that want to negatively affect you, and they exist in both the mainstream world and the counterculture alternative world. They exist in both places. It is foolish to think that one has all the answers and is good and the other one isn't. I have found throughout my experience that it doesn't particularly matter which avenue you're in, you have to sort out goodness and good solutions. And I can tell you it was 11 to 1 for me. I had one good, 11 bad. So you have to take that for what you will. But if it can happen to me, it can happen to you. And I think if we talk through it together, we can find places that you can discern and think through to help yourself. And so that's my intentionality going forward with this channel. I would like to share a little bit more of a personal update about the decisions I've made throughout this year that have affected my life. My life path is very different than it was the last time I made a video, and I'm really, really comfortable with it as it stands. And so I would like to share that with people and maybe help other people in these other areas that don't specifically relate to Lyme. So that's what I have today on Saturday, November 21st, 2020. I hope everyone's doing well. I hope you're hanging in there and um, not letting the powers that be really drag you down and get fear in your heart and your mind. So take care. I love you all. I will talk soon, hopefully. Thank you.